from All That Remains. Welcome to Gym Rock Crew.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Like a virus burning on in my veins, I can't stop the
So you've got a lot going on. You are currently on tour with Mudvayne and Megadeth. Awesome. Okay, I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this while touring.
Sure. It's nice to be able to talk about things like health and fitness and exercise. I think it's extremely important, especially in the United States. I've seen some really terrible statistics about the state of the American people, and a lot of it has to do with a very sedentary lifestyle where people just don't get up and move. So, I think it's important to try and set a good example for people.
Awesome. Cool. By the way, I just watched one of your live shows in Houston.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my God, your vocals are freaking insane.
Well, thank you very much. It's first of all, Houston wait a minute, Houston might not have been too bad. I think Houston was an indoor show, and that was better. We did 3 shows in Texas. We did Houston, Dallas, and Austin. And Dallas and Austin were both outdoor shows, and it was like 105 degrees, and it was something else. But Houston was all right because it was an indoor show, and they had the air conditioning going and stuff. But I appreciate the kudos. Well, that's one of the things that I think is important about staying healthy and going to the gym and stuff. I'm not a 22-year-old kid anymore, so when it comes time to get ready for tour or whatever, I'm making sure that I'm doing just a little bit extra cardio and just a little bit extra, make sure that I'm not going to lose my breath, or I'm not going to be out of breath, because there have been times where I myself, and I've definitely seen other bands, where you can hear that the vocalist is struggling to breathe, or like there are parts where it should be a long drawn out scream, and you can hear the panting and stuff, and I think that if I'm not putting the effort in to make sure that stuff either isn't happening at all, or is as muted and not noticeable as possible, then I feel like I'm ripping the people that pay to come to see the show off, because they're not coming to see someone that can't perform the parts, whether it be drums or guitar or whatever, or vocals, they're coming because they want to hear you perform the stuff that they hear on the record, and they want you to sound as much like the record as you can. So it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm in shape and that I'm capable of doing the stuff that we do, and a lot of that is the whole lung capacity and making sure that I'm not getting gassed. I think Taylor Swift does her whole set, like she has a treadmill and she'll sing her whole set while she's on the treadmill. And I don't have a treadmill in my house, but it's not a bad idea, to get up there and actually try and do the jogging, walking around or something, and be able to sing as well. That'll really get you in shape real quick.
I actually saw Miley Cyrus doing that some time ago. There's a video on YouTube of her running on the treadmill and belting out the song. I don't know if she does it for the entire set list, but that was cool. It was very interesting to see.
It's a really, really good idea at the very least, because when you're up there, trying to perform, if you're going to get gassed just running from one side of the stage to the other, and again it starts affecting your performance, that's really, really unprofessional in my opinion. If you're going to be a professional musician and people are going to pay to come see your band, you should be doing your best to be in shape, not just for being able to sing the stuff, but being able to sing it and perform, because those are 2 different aspects.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty in a while, but First off, I have some quick fire questions for you. You ready?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Cool. What are the top 3 bands on your workout playlist?
So I don't listen to a lot of music when I am working out. I listen to a lot of audiobooks and stuff like that. But if I'm listening to music, it tends to be stuff like Bring Me the Horizon. I really like them a lot. I actually listen to like Taylor Swift. I listen to a lot of pop. I'll listen to Dr. Dre and like 90s rap and Eminem. So it varies a lot. I have a hard time with favorites. I'll do it's more like I'll like this for a little while, and then I'll decide I want a different different flavor or whatever. So, but some of the things that I tend to go back to a lot are like Eminem, Dr. Dre, and stuff like Bring Me, or maybe Metallica is always in there, and the old standards, Pantera, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll listen to anything from the 90s. It's so good.
90s had some great music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Do you find that, because I'm asking this because this happens with me, and I'm listening to music at the gym, but when I'm about to start my set, everything just kind of shuts down, like I don't hear anything, and I'm just focusing on my breathing and stuff. Does that
That's
happen?
that's part of why I don't like. That's part of the. I think that's part of why I don't really worry about the music. I mean, I know there are people that like dudes, especially when they're like lifting heavy and stuff. There's some dudes that'll be like, okay, make sure that the song's right before they go, and they want to make sure they have that. But I tend to agree with you when I'm doing a lift or when I'm doing the set or whatever. I'm not really hearing whatever's going on. Most of the time, the stuff that I'm hearing is stuff it's in between sets, when I'm kind of catching my breath or whatever, more than when I'm actually lifting. It doesn't really matter much to me when it comes to actually doing the lift. So I totally can identify with what you're talking about.
Yeah, same, awesome. All right, what is your favorite exercise and why?
Well, I like to do shoulders because I think that I've got a bit of like an edge on shoulders. Like my shoulders pop very easily. Like when I exercise them, they respond really well. So that's kind of the thing that I like to do. But because of that, I try not to get too because if you're doing something and it works really easily, that's not what you should be doing. You should be doing the things that are hard. So what I should be doing is like doing calf raises. That's the it's like that's the thing that I really should be doing. So I do make sure that that I'm in there doing legs and the things that are a little more tough to get yourself into. So I'm always doing squats, or I do, I think they're Bulgarian squats where you put your foot up on something behind you and do the like single leg squats and stuff. I have a quad sweep that I'm fairly proud of, and the fact that I have a quad sweep, a lot of people don't have a lot of shape to their legs, and I do, so it's like I kind of don't want to lose that, so I definitely try to focus on that stuff, but I'd be lying if I said legs were my favorite because they're definitely not.
Totally. Actually, Bulgarian split squats are my favorite.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
The
them.
split squats, they really, really, really work. It,
Yeah.
it seems like that's one of the exercises that like every single time I do it, doesn't matter if I'm doing lightweight or doing what would be considered heavy for my normal routine. Either way, I'm going to be sore and I'm going to be like, walking funny the next day.
For the next 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is your least favorite exercise then, and why?
Like I really don't like doing core because it tends to mess with like singing and stuff like that. And it's important to have strong core for singing, but I'm just like really like I tend to neglect it a little bit, and then it's like, well, and I always put it off. I'm like, well, I got to practice, and I don't want to be like weak at practice, and it's like it becomes self fulfilling if you don't exercise it enough. It's not getting the strength that it needs and stuff. But out of all the stuff, I probably neglect my core the most. So, which is shameful. I know. So,
It doesn't show. Like it doesn't show that
well,
you neglect it.
Well, I appreciate that, but of all the stuff, I mean, I still do. I'm pretty good about making sure that I get my whole body and do full body workouts and stuff. I try not to neglect, but I know the stuff that I'm just like, I don't wanna, I'm just
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
help it.
Yeah. Cool. So, what does your fitness routine look like then when you're not touring?
When I'm at home, I do usually do. I mean, I try to go every day to do something. So even if I'm just going to do cardio, I do something every day. Or not, no, I don't do something every day. I try to do something every day. I usually get about 5 to 6 days a week, right? So I'll go and I'll do cardio, and on like an active rest day, like do cardio for 30, 45 minutes, and then that'll be it. But most of the time I'll get like 5 days of lifting in, and I'll do like shoulders by themselves, and then I'll do hamstrings, like basically hamstrings and glutes. So I'll do, some kind of deadlift, whether it be full deadlifts or deadlifts with dumbbell deadlifts, and I'll do hamstring curls, and that'll be on one day. But then I'll do like a day for squats and quads. So I'm doing legs on 2 days. I do like your front part and I do the back, and I kind of neglect arms a little bit, which I don't think is a huge deal if you're doing compound movements, if you're doing your, overhead presses for shoulders, and if you're doing, uh, you know, your regular, bench press or whatever and stuff. I think that your arms get a decent amount, but sometimes I'll go in and I'll do like an arm and ab day, but it tends to be shoulders, chest, back, and then front and back of legs. So quad day and glute day, or quad day and hammy day. So
Yeah.
that's mostly how I split it up. But I try to get 2 days for legs because I don't want to do squats on the same day that I do deadlifts, right? So I figure if I'm going to split up squats and deadlifts, I know they're, in my opinion, they're both important exercises. So I'll do squats on one day and I'll do deadlifts on another day. And I know, like, you can't help but work your glutes when you're doing squats, obviously. But if you're eating enough and you're getting proper rest, you can, I think you can do them split like that, and not have a big problem. And I'll do
Yeah.
thrusters on glute day, and I'll do hamstrings on glute day and stuff. So yeah.
Nice. I've seen you a lot on the Smith machine. You prefer that to like barbell
I
squats or no? Not really.
No. The reason I use a Smith machine is because there's this chain in the U.S. The people that it's called Planet Fitness, and for $20 you can go anywhere in the country, and that's the only reason I do it, is because if I'm on tour, I can go and do stuff at Planet Fitness. When I'm actually at home, at my place in West Virginia, there's a place called True Performance that's like a legit gym. Like I know, like, people give Planet Fitness crap, and I understand why, like they have the whole lunk alarm thing and stuff, but it's better than not going anywhere. But when you're on tour, it's reliably all over the place. There are franchises nationwide, and they're in every city. I mean, I don't think I've gone to a actual city that we played a show in that doesn't have a Planet Fitness. Like they're just everywhere. So it's reliable. It's easy. I know they got cardio. If I have to, like, if I want to shower, they got showers there. So there are certain things that are really helpful for being a touring musician, and that's the reason that I have that. But when I'm in West Virginia, I have the normal gym that I go to. It's a place called True Performance, and it's a legit gym with, I think they have Smith machines, but I do free deadlifts and
Nice.
free squats that way, and that
Cool.
I prefer it, but I do take shortcuts because of the touring and stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So, how has lifting weights impacted your life as a musician?
Well, I mean, so I think it's super important for everybody to lift, right? Like, and this is something that I say, like, on Twitter all the time. Like, you should, whether you're a man or a woman, you should lift heavy weights for your body, right? So not everybody's heavy weights are the same, right? I mean, what's heavy for a man is going to be different for a woman, and what's heavy for, a guy my size is going to be different for a woman that's, 100 pounds, or it's going to be different for depending on the person, the individual. And so it's important to remember that. But lifting heavy weights is incredibly good for your body because it's good for your bones, it's good for your connective tissues, and it's also good for your muscles. Having muscle mass on your body is it keeps your metabolism faster. You burn more calories when you're sitting around doing nothing because of the muscle mass. So and I've lifted weights to some degree for the vast majority of my adult life, right? Like there have been times where I've been, kind of, I had a shoulder injury a couple years back, so I didn't really lift very much for a while. And, there were times where I did less and more, but there's been some amount of lifting weights for, like I said, for all of my adult life. So, and I think that it's really important for, for everybody, especially as we age. it gets more important, right? So the less muscle mass you have on your body, the more likely you are to sustain injuries. The less you exercise, the more you're gonna be likely to have some kind of cardiovascular problem or something like that. There's not enough good things that you can say about exercising. And again, as I was talking about earlier, like the U.S. is like at least 60% of America is overweight. Like maybe as high as 70% now, and I think like 50% are like obese, and that's just horrible to think because you don't have to be. And I know there's going to be people that say, oh, well, the food we eat is bad and blah blah blah, and they're 100% right. I agree with you totally, but you don't have to choose to eat those things. If you go to the grocery store and you just do the edge, right? You go to the vegetables and you go and you get the meat to the meat section, you go to the dairy section and just do all the outside. Don't go into any of the aisles. You can get all the stuff you need, and it's almost guaranteed to not have any of the bad garbage they put in it. You don't need cookies. You don't need all that crap. You can get it and have a treat, fine. I'm not super strict on my diet, to be honest with you. Like I do a lot of cardio to give me room to give me wiggle room. I don't
Wiggle
mind getting
room,
on the,
yes.
yeah, I don't mind the stair stepper for an hour if it means that I can have, if I can have some potato chips every once in a while.
Oh,
But to me, that's what cardio is. It's wiggle room. It's not going to, your body is going to be, what your body's going to look like is decided in the kitchen. But if you want to treat yourself and you want to have a little room to play around, that's where cardio comes in. Cardio can give you wiggle room. It's not going to give you the body you want. You're going to find the body you want in the kitchen. But if you want to go ahead and not worry all the time about are you eating right, then you better go do the cardio. But yeah, like I was saying, like I'm not super into like RFK and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff that he's been saying recently about the foods we eat, I totally agree with, and it's super important that people understand there's a lot of garbage and a lot of garbage that's in the food we eat that your body doesn't need, can't process properly, is not evolved to process. So stay out of the center of the grocery store. Go to the meat section. Go to the vegetable section. Go to get your veggies, get your meats, get your starches from the veggie section. Don't go into the center. Where the garbage is. You get your good whole dairy, get your eggs, you can get all the stuff you need to have, you know, plenty of different options without going to the center of the grocery store. Go, stay around the edge, and that's where it's safe to buy your food. And if you do that, you're going to be, light years ahead of most people. So
absolutely, I totally agree. And I mean, you always have a choice, like you said. The other thing I noticed is that there's so much marketing on processed food that claims to be like health food. So they'll be like, high protein or low fat and stuff, but it's actually just garbage. So, people are kind of choosing those things because of that as well. So,
yeah, like one of the things that I hate is the term all natural.
oh,
Like
yeah.
like all natural. You know what else is natural? Lead. You know, uranium is natural, but you're not going to eat uranium, are you? Like plutonium is natural. You're not going to eat plutonium.
Yeah.
Like the idea that it's natural equals good for you is totally wrong. It's totally wrong. You need to know what you're eating. I'm not big on counting calories, and I understand that it's hard, to do that. But like, you should know what you're eating, and you're 100% right about the marketing and stuff like that. Most of the stuff that's in the center of the grocery store, we're in the aisles. Most of it's full of sugar. It's full of extra sugar. It's full of corn syrup. The high fructose corn syrup, and that's all. But like, there's a lot of stuff that the government does with subsidies and stuff like that, which is why they have all that kind of sweetener and stuff in it. But like, I mean, stay away from all that processed stuff as much as you can because it's not good for you. It's just not good for you at all. And there are plenty of options out there where if you spend a little time thinking about it, you can find good for you food. But I couldn't agree with you more, Ramona. Like the whole all natural and they lie to people about, like, I just recently heard that, like, in the 80s or whatever, like all the cigarette companies bought up all the food companies and they hired people to make food addictive like cigarettes. And you see it in our, in the US, you definitely see it. And if you compare the US to like Japan, and it's just not the same. It's just not like, you look at the bodies of people in Japan, like it's like 3-4% of people in Japan are obese. In the US it's 50%. And like, people want to be like, oh, well, it's all the fish they eat. It's not the fish they eat. I've been to Japan multiple times. They use plenty of butter. They have tons of delicious stuff that you're eating over there. Like, they use plenty of butter. They use plenty of fats and stuff. And it's just the processed food that is just not over there the way that it is in the U.S. Stay away from all that stuff. It's poison, man. It's poison. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with you, Rwanda. It's horrible, the stuff that people believe or have been sold, about what is and is not good to eat and what they should and should not eat. Like, stay away from the processed stuff as much as you can.
Totally love that. Right. I saw you using a breathing training mask. Is that it? So that's what you used to build your lung capacity. Is it for tours?
Well, I was trying it, and I don't know that it really helped much. I used it for a little while, and then I don't know if you're aware of this, but I found out that I have diverticulosis, and I found that out in the fall, and I had my first flare up, which is where they call it diverticulitis. And I had that, like, I'd started using the training mask, and then I had a flare up, so I had to go to the hospital, and I lost a bunch of weight. I was out of the gym for a couple of weeks. I was in pretty rough shape. And when I started training again, it was about 2 weeks for me to get back on my feet. And then once I started training again, I didn't grab the mask. I didn't use it. And I wasn't doing any cardio because I'd lost so much weight. I'm like, I'm just trying to put weight on. I was like, I don't need to do cardio. I need to just go ahead and lift and eat. And so I didn't really use it anymore because I was afraid of burning too many calories. So we'll see what happens next time I go on tour. I'll try it again, but because of the bout of diverticulitis and losing so much weight, I stayed off the treadmill for a little while, and just relied on doing just the regular rehearsing with the band to get my lung capacity to where it was needed to be. So
So that's what you did for this tour then.
yeah, it was a lot. We did a lot of rehearsing. Me and Mike and Matt, our bass player, we got together about 3 weeks before the tour started, and we were doing 6 times a week, and I was going to the gym as well, so I wasn't doing cardio and stuff, but I was lifting, and so I would do that, and then I would do the rehearsals for 2 hours or so, where I'd sing and with the guys and stuff, 5 days a
Yeah.
week or something like that. I think it was about like 5 days a week, but. Yeah, that and also it helps that, like, doing the Megada shows, we're playing short sets, so we're only doing like 30 minutes. So there was it wasn't like I had to get ready for like an hour and a half headliner or something like that. I was like, all right, I know that I can do a 30-minute set pretty easily, just so long as my throat muscles and stuff are in shape and stuff. It'll be okay for me to not do the cardio and stuff. So that was part of the thought process and why I was like, oh, I don't need to go ahead and really hit it all that hard on the cardio because I don't want to lose the weight. I was trying to put back on weight. I lost a lot of weight. I was pretty rough. I was in pretty rough shape. So
That's awful. Yeah. It's so sad to lose muscle, like because it's so hard to build muscle. I think it's easier to actually lose fat than to build muscle.
it might be, especially, like, I mean, I'm pushing 50 now. So, it's like, as you get older, it gets harder for guys to build muscle and stuff. So yeah, I agree. It is harder to put on muscle. And when you lose it, you're just like, oh, God, it took me
Yeah,
so
all that
long to
work.
get here. But thankfully, if you're in that situation, like, muscle memory is real. So, like, once you get to a certain point and you get a certain amount of muscle on, like, if you lose it, it's easier to get it back than it is to build it in the first place. So there's that little bit of silver lining there, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess if you take like a really long break and then come back, you probably have some newbie gains as well.
Yeah, right. some kind of help.
Some help. All right. So what is your favorite physical activity?
I like to lift. You know, I don't mind doing cardio. I'm not really too into sports. I like to roll jiu-jitsu a little bit. I messed up my knee a couple years back, and so I don't roll as much as I used to. I'm just a white belt. So I haven't made significant progress, but it's a lot of fun. I like watching UFC and watching BJJ competition and stuff like that. So I'm really interested in it, but I'm not any good at it. But if outside of lifting, I'd probably say my favorite physical activity would probably be BJJ. It's a lot of fun. It's cool.
Cool. So do you have a pre-show routine?
Yeah, I mean, I have my warm up that I've been doing for ages and ages that I got from Melissa Cross back in like 2004 or something like that, ages ago. Um, and I've been doing that before shows all the time. I make sure that I usually do that about if we get the chance to do a sound check, I'll do it before sound check. And once I do the warm up, then I'm good until the show. So I'll do it before the sound check, and then when it comes to like getting ready for the show, um, I'll go ahead and make sure I'm drinking a lot of water or as much water as I can. Um, at about 30 minutes before, I'll stop drinking water so that way I'm not on stage having to pee. But I'm try to make sure I'm really hydrated, and then get dressed and like I like to do some push-ups to kind of work off some nervous energy and stuff like that, so I'm not too going two balls out when we start. But that's about it. I don't do a big there's not like a big routine that I have to do to get ready. I make sure that my voice is warmed up and I make sure that I'm hydrated. And those are the two things that I'm like, I have to make sure I do all the time. But otherwise it's pretty simple. I just get up there and make sure that I'm ready to go and yell at the crowd.
Nice. All right. What do you do to not get sick or exhausted on tour?
Sleep. I don't drink. Um, I don't drink and I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I quit smoking in like 2019. So, and I haven't had a drink since like 2018. I think is
So
the last
no
time I had a
alcohol
drink.
at all?
No, no. So that's a big deal. Like I have acid reflux, so I take Prilosec in the morning and I take Prilosec at night. And just so long as I'm doing that, taking my medication properly and getting enough sleep, it's usually pretty good. I mean, if you're on a long enough tour, you're kind of bound to get a cold. Like someone gets a cold and then they bring it on the bus and then it's going to go around whether you like it or not is kind of the way that it goes. Like the very, very first couple days, like the first week of this tour, I was fighting the cold. And thankfully it wasn't a bad cold and I managed to keep it at bay. One of the things that I use is, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but like Zicam, the nasal swab things that are supposed to help you beat the cold or whatever. But it's supposed to have zinc in it, I think. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but it's intended to make the cold shorter and also make it so you don't get as sick. And I found that works really well for me. Um, but a lot of it is just your basic like water and staying hydrated and getting enough sleep. So like I'll be in bed by midnight, and then I don't get up until 8 9 in the morning. But I'm not one of those guys that's up until 3 4 5 in the morning partying and stuff at all. Um, Not that I really ever was. When I was a drinker, I would be drinking a lot, but I was never like going out to party because with the drinking, it was really rough on my voice. So I wouldn't be going to bars and talking over the music at the bar, or all the people talking at the bar, as well as drinking and stuff. That was just too much. That would put me. We had to cancel a tour one time because I was just doing too much stuff, and so like, all right, you gotta rein that in and decide what you're going to do. And so it I got that under control, but the drinking and stuff, once I got that out of my system and stuff, um, the 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 strength of the voice kind of came back, and it's been really nice to be able to be like, I'm not worried about if I worried about breaking my voice because I was hollering at the bar or whatever. The booze was not a beneficial thing at all for that. So
Yeah, your transitions are awesome, and your screams,
thank you.
like, oh my God, I got goosebumps. Like, that was really good.
Well,
Very
thank you very
cool.
much, Ramon. I appreciate that.
All right, so I think we've covered so much already. You said that you do Planet Fitness sometimes when you're touring.
Hmm.
How do you manage staying fit while on tour?
Mostly what I do is cardio, right? Like I do go to the gym when I get the chance, but especially on this tour because we're playing what they call sheds, so they're outdoor theaters or outdoor arenas, and it's not always easy to get an Uber to go to get us to a place. So every day off, I make sure that I go to the gym for sure, whether it be the hotel gym or go to a Planet Fitness or whatever. But I make sure that I do cardio as much as I can too. Every chance that I get to do cardio, I'm doing that. I will do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that a little bit, do body weight stuff, but mostly it's I've been able to get to gyms regularly enough where I'm not gonna lose anything. I'm definitely not gonna be like, oh man, I'm gonna gain a bunch of weight and get in great shape on tour. That ain't happening, right? That's just not happening at all. But I do find it pretty easy to get to the gym enough where I don't feel like, oh man, I'm gonna lose all my gains or I'm not gonna look good or whatever, blah blah blah. It's more making sure I do cardio because catering's good and they got dessert and you're eating. It's harder to eat good on tour than it is to eat good at home. Like at home, it's super easy. I just don't buy garbage and I don't have it in my house, and so it's not a problem. On tour, not everybody on the bus is all that concerned about what they're eating. So there's junk food everywhere and catering. They have, dessert. And I mean, we just played in Florida and they had this wonderful like cherry tart pie thing. And it was
Oh,
delicious. And I had two. They were so good. So mostly I'm making sure I get the cardio because I got to burn off all the garbage food that I'm going to be eating. And even when I get home, like I'm sure that I'm going to have a couple extra pounds that I want to get rid of that are from tour. But to be honest with you, I'm much happier about the idea of having to lose a little bit of body fat than having to gain. So if I get a little soft on tour and I'm not as cut as I was when the tour started, that's okay. Just so long as I didn't lose any muscle mass. And I tell you what, I'm eating so much that I'm not losing muscle mass at all. So I'm not worried about that. So
cool, cool. I think this is why it's so important, like in your regular life, to be as healthy as possible, so your body can take that everything that's going on tour, and the lack of really good food and not working out as much. So yeah, so you're doing a really good job of balancing that then.
thank you. And Ramon, I really agree with you. I think more people I appreciate what you do completely because I think more people need to know that there are people out there that put effort into their health and into keeping themselves healthy. And a lot of people will get wrapped up in the idea that, oh, they just want to look a certain way and it's about vanity or whatever. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't want to look good on stage. It's like when I get on stage, I don't want to look bad at all. But part of the reason is because like if people see all that remains, I want them to look at us and say those guys don't look like piles of garbage, right? Like I want people to look at us and be aspirational. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a rock star because rock stars were cool. I don't want I don't want people to look at us and be like, oh, they look like they play video games all day or whatever. It's like I want them to look at us and be like, feel like it's kind of aspirational and like they would be like, I want to be like that. And if kids look at me and they say, I want to be like that, I want to be worth wanting to be like. I want to be in shape, and I want kids to be like, or people to be like, you know what, he's in shape, and if he can do it, traveling all over the world, and they're going to make assumptions about drinking or whatever, and that's fine. I don't care. But if they're going to make the assumptions and be like, if he can do it on tour and drinking and partying, blah, 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 then I can do it too, because you can. Anyone can do it. Everyone can get healthier. Everyone can take care of their body. Everyone can exercise a little more, even if it means just getting up off the couch and going for a walk. It's a great way to start. People ask me all the time, like, what should I do? And I'm like, look, first you got to build the habit. So if you go to the gym, if you get in your car, get up out of bed, get in your car and go to the gym and just walk for 10 minutes. That's great, because you got up, got to the gym. If you get up and you go to the gym and you just sit in your car and say, I don't feel like it today, that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has a bad day, but you got out of bed, you got in your car, and you went to the gym. And that's a big part of it. So just get up and go to the gym. And if you don't get inside and that day, fine. But the next day, get up, go to the gym, and maybe you'll get inside then. And you do 10 minutes of cardio or 20 minutes of cardio or whatever. And that's great. Just build on those little successes. And just getting to the gym is one of the successes. It's so important for people to understand. People that are, especially people that are starting, like, everything you do that gets you one step closer. And again, even if it's just getting out of bed and getting in the car and driving to the gym, that's a victory. That's a day that you did something. You did, even if it was just a little bit, that's something. And that's a victory, and you can build on that. So, like, if you're watching this and you're not sure if you can do it, you absolutely can do it. Get up, get in the car, get up, get dressed, go to the gym. And if, like I said, if you just sit in the car and you don't get in there, that's okay. Go home, and then tomorrow try again. And maybe tomorrow you can get in there and you can do a little bit. But it takes those little steps, those little, every step towards what your goal is a victory. So take those little victories and love them and keep building on them. So.
Love that. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks as well, and I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was Atomic Habits, where he says, if you can just tell yourself that you'll go for 5 minutes, that's all you do. Just go for
Yeah.
5 minutes. And then
Yes.
when you're there, you're
100%.
probably going to say, oh, I'm already here, I might as well just, go a little bit longer, but just 5 minutes. So
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely. It's so true. It's so true, because it is overwhelming, especially if you're coming from a place where you're not in good shape and you're getting started. I know it's overwhelming. So, but it's okay to feel that way. It's okay, but just keep trying. Just do a little bit, and you can build on those little victories.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
No
All
problem.
right. What have we not covered? What is like your favorite cheat meal or guilty pleasure?
So, like,
Where's the list?
I know, right? You're talking to people. You talk to people that lift, and it's always like they are always like, "Oh my God, I could go on for hours." I mean, I love pizza. I love like a thin crust pizza with pepperoni and hamburger and a glass bottle of Mexican Coke. Oh God, it's so good. I really love like that cherry tart that I had the other day. Man, that thing's been on my mind since. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I think my favorite cheat meal would probably be pizza. Like having a pizza like a New York style or a New Haven style pizza. There's this place, Fuco Pizza, in Cheshire, Connecticut, and the guy's great. Um, and he makes the best pizza. And New England has the best pizza, anyways. That New York style is actually New Haven, Connecticut style. They say it's New York, but it's actually Southern Connecticut. Um, that's probably my favorite is pizza. I love it. So.
I really like the thin crust.
Yes, yes, yes. You're exactly. The guy from Barstool. I forget his name. I think his first name's Dave. But the guy from Barstool that does the pizza tasting. He's like, everybody gets one or whatever. His preference for pizza is my preference for pizza too. Like the stuff that he's looking for is exactly what I'm looking for. So
Cool. All right. Do you take any supplements with you on tour?
just protein. I use Isopure because you can manage. There's no carbs in it, so you can manage how much. And like so. Fairlife makes chocolate milk, and they also make Core Power, I think it's called. And I go through a lot of those. Like we get a lot of those usually because trying to make sure that you're eating enough protein is really hard because like if you're trying to just maintain, right, for a guy, you want to eat like at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So it's like 150 200 grams of protein a day. That's a lot, to get just from your meals. But if you have like the Core Power ones, like some of them are as high as 42 grams of
Yeah.
protein. And so, like, if you have two of those and then your normal meals, that'll probably be enough to get you through the day. And when I'm at home, I drink a lot of the Fairlife chocolate milk because it's like 25 grams of protein. I'll usually I'll have 100 grams of protein from that in a day on top of whatever I eat because I try and keep it about two to 250 grams of protein when I'm at home because I'm always trying to get a little extra muscle. So.
Yeah, I'm so jealous that you guys have that. You'll also have like ice cream that's really high in protein with Halo Top.
I love
So
Halo
jealous.
Top. It's great. You
It
can't
was
get
the
that?
first thing. No, it was the first thing I tried when I went to the US. I was like, "Fuck this! I am going to the supermarket and getting Halo Top."
And it
And I
was
think I
great,
got
right?
like 3 or 4 flavors. Yeah, so good. So the birthday
Mm,
cake. Oh my God, so good.
it's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so you've been around a long time in the touring scene. Do you see musicians getting healthier, taking care of themselves a little bit better?
I so I don't think so. I do think that there are some, like if you look at Chris Daughtry, like that guy is shredded nowadays. Like he's in great shape. Um, so there are some people that really put the effort into it, but I don't think that I don't think that it's a normal thing in the U.S. And I wish that, like I said, in the U.S. It's become like normal for people to be out of shape in the U.S. And I wish that it wasn't that way. And part of the reason why, like, again, like why I do the things I do and talk about, like, if you follow me on X, or on Instagram, every time I go to the gym, I'm putting up a little video. Just go to the gym, go to the gym, go to the gym. And part of the reason is because there are just so many people that are so unhealthy, and it's a we've got some serious health problems in the U.S. that are all related to the food we eat and to the fact that people don't exercise. So no, I don't see that, and I think it's really unfortunate. And I'm doing whatever little bit I can to try and affect people's opinions of exercising, and I hope that they'll think about doing a little bit. And that's part of the reason why, like we were saying, just get up and go to the gym, just get in the car. Like there's so many people that are really out of shape and they feel overwhelmed, and that just little bit of motivation or encouragement, that might help them. And that's what I hope to be able to do, just encourage people to get out there and be a little bit better you, because there's nothing wrong with you if you feel like, you can't do it, or you're out of shape like that. It's not like it might not even be your fault, because people haven't been taught how to eat good foods and taught what is good for them. Um, and there are literally companies that try to get you to eat bad food that addicts you. They want you to be addicted to bad food, and so you got to break out of that. And so I get it; it's hard, but no, I don't see not nearly enough people in the music industry are doing it, and I wish there were more.
Interesting. So you don't drink. Do you kind of come across pressure from other musicians, like, let's just have one drink. Let's, what's wrong with you? How do you
Not
deal with all that,
really.
or no one messes with you?
Nowadays, I don't feel like there's a lot of people that I feel like people respect people that don't drink. If you say, "Oh, I don't drink," I feel like that it's very normal for people to be like, "Oh, okay." I don't feel a lot of peer pressure at all. It might be because it might be that I'm not a young kid anymore, and so I'm not hanging out with the kids. It's like when I get done with the show, I go and I'll see people around, and I'll watch the other bands. Like a lot of times I'll go out to Front House and I'll watch Megadeth and stuff. But I'm not hanging out where the party is. You know what I mean? And that might be part of it. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of people nowadays that are very, I think most people are very respectful. If you say, you know, I don't drink or I don't do this, I don't think that I don't see a lot of people that are, you know, being like, oh, you should come on or blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's something that we see very much in the scene at all anymore. So I know that there was a time where that was kind of a thing, but I think nowadays that kind of, you know, that kind of encouragement or peer pressure. I think that's not something I see very much at all.
I was just having this conversation with an interview with a musician, and he said that they face this all the time because you have the people at the venue just bringing in like the beers and bringing in everything, and they're like, no, the band doesn't drink, like we don't touch alcohol, get that out of here. So yeah,
We don't have any booze on, like, even our, like, there are people on our crew that'll drink and stuff like that, but we don't put any booze on our rider. And it's not that we're like, you can't. It's just that the band is like, you know, well, we don't really care. And like, I know that, like, there's a couple dudes in the band that actually do drink, but it's kind of like they don't really care, right? Like, so I would say, like, I don't drink, like, at all, right? Like, if people offer me, I'm not going to have any. But like Matt, our bass player, and Mike, our guitar player, like, they might have a drink. Mike probably wouldn't, because he'd probably just be like, if I have a beer, I'm going to get a headache, right? But like, I know that Matt might have a drink, and I know Jason and Anthony, both of them, they'll go ahead and go out and have drinks sometimes with people. But for the most part, we just don't really, you know, it's not something that anyone really worries about. So it doesn't really come up for us.
cool. Is there any sport that you've always wanted to master but you've never been able to get good at?
Well, I think the closest would be BJJ. I mean, if I can get I have a bum knee that I need to get looked at and fixed, and if I can get that fixed to the point where I can roll regularly, it would be nice to be able to train long enough to get my black belt. You know, I'm still young enough where I could get black belt. You know, most of the time, if you train regularly, from what I hear, you can do it in about 10 years, you know, training regularly and hard, and it'd be really, really cool if I could do that. But I mean, honestly, what would be the like great for me if I could just get to like maybe purple belt, that'd be awesome, you know, just to get really competent with it, you know what I mean? Not even be like some kind of master or anything, just get to the point where I'm considered competent. That'd be nice.
Nice, nice, cool. All right, if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to train with, who would it be and why?
I mean, it'd be cool to train with Arnold back in the day, you know. I'm sure that he would ruin me, but you know, Arnold would be great. I mean, like, it'd be cool to train with like some of the freaks, like Dorian Yates, you know, or Ronnie Coleman back when he was in his prime. Um, but you know, those guys are light years ahead. You know, they were light years ahead of me. They're like freaks of nature. But even back like someone like Frank Zane, you know, the bodybuilders of like the '70s and stuff. Um, Dudes just had just superior genetics and were just, you know, you hear them giving each other crap and having a good time. It'd be fun to go and train with dudes like that.
Someone else said Arnold, and I was like, oh my God, can you imagine how much you would learn from just one session
Yeah.
training with them, you know?
I mean, I'm, like I said, I'm sure that I would end up vomiting, you know, because I've watched some of the stuff that he's done, you know, with his buddies and how much they push each other. So I'm sure that it would be, I would be suffering, but it'd be an experience that I would love to be able to say that I had, you know.
Oh yeah, cool. We're done. Do you have anything mental or physical health related that you want to share or add?
You know, we covered it, but I do want to reiterate, like, look, if you're out there and you're thinking, oh, you know, I would like to get started, like, baby steps are the way, and build on those. So like I said, get up, get dressed for the gym, go to the gym. And even if you don't do anything and just sit in your car and can't get yourself out of the car, that's okay. Just so long as the next day you get up, get dressed, and go to the gym again. and try and get in there and walk for 5 minutes. Just go and do just a little bit. And you can build on those little successes. If you want to, you can do it. And I have complete faith in you, because I've seen people that you'd think would never lose weight, never be able to lose weight, and they've just lost tons of weight. People like Ethan Suppley, the guy that was in Clerks and Dogma. He's a big guy in the '90s, and now he's he's in great shape and stuff. So you can do it too. So get up and go to the gym.
You've missed your calling as a coach.
Well, I kind of like being in a band too, so it's all right. I don't mind.
All right, Gym Rockers, go give Phil a follow and check out his band, All That Remains, and maybe catch them on tour, Destroy All Enemies tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne until the end of September, correct?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. Phil, enjoy the rest of your tour, and thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Ramona. I appreciate it.